Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand Thursday night. Welcome to the show. We are talking everything United, the aftermath from what was an epic night last night, or whichever way you want to look at it. You could have looked at it one of two ways. We'll get into that, obviously. But first of all, we're going to start on some comments from Ole from the press conference after the game. Interesting comments regarding Donny Van de Beek and kind of shooting himself in the foot, I think, as well, without even realising, in terms of some other comments made about loyalty and players towards him and if they're playing for him. Interesting stuff. We'll get into that. Joining me tonight, we've got Jordan. Jordan, how you doing, mate? You good?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
Oh, fine, mate. Fine, mate. Epic night last night. Very late one, but at least we won the game in the end, yeah?
Yeah. We'd be feeling a lot different if we didn't.
Oh, it would have been one of them shows, wouldn't it, Beth? I mean, Beth, you were there as well. Recovered from last night. All good today?
Honestly, it's actually mad how that drained it makes you. But it's like you're drained, like you feel like you've been driving. I've said this before, you feel like you've been driving for like 5 hours because you're concentrating. But then also because of like all the buzz, like you stay up really late. So I didn't go to bed till like 5 because I was like just like thinking about like not just about that. I'm not that sad, but I was thinking about like other things. And I was like, it's actually mad like games like that. Like, proper drains you of your energy.
Oh. Ridiculous. And obviously, last night we had a lot of debutantes. Nearly said that wrong then. Debutantes on the fan vlogs. Congratulations on them, guys. You all did brilliantly. And we had loads of people coming over talking to us as well after the game, before the game. Keep that up, guys. If you have your say, come over and see us outside the stadium. I'm always there, willing to chat. Brilliant. Everything that everyone was saying last night was on point. And a lot of it was from the heart because it is really getting to a lot of fans. We'll get into that as well, actually, because there were boos last night at Old Trafford. I've not heard that for a long time. And I'm quite old. I just realised that when everyone was talking about ages before we went live. So, we're going to get not too much into my age, but a lot of what the fans' reaction was last night as well. But first of all, we're going to talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his comments when asked certain questions after the game yesterday. Beth, I'm going to start with you. Basically, Ollie is talking about Donny Van de Beek again. And the question was put to him regarding Donny. It's looking like Romano is pretty much confirming Donny Van de Beek is out the door in January. We've seen his tweet. We've seen his comments on it. Ollie's basically saying, look, if Donny Van de Beek gets his chance, he hopes he takes it. Well, he's there if he needs him. But last night, he didn't need him. Okay, fair enough. But Donny Van de Beek, for me, did take a chance, I thought, in the West Ham game. And he hasn't played a minute in the 5 games after that game, Beth. I mean, what do you reckon to them comments, first of all, Beth? And Romano's tweet, writing on the wall. We spoke about it a bit, but I think Ollie last night was... Could you say he was throwing Donny under the bus there? Was he having a go at him? Really?
I just think that says... That's all he's saying. I don't rate Van de Beek whatsoever because, I think one, that's rude because that's saying every time he has played, which he's been barely ever, he's not thought he's played well, or else that would be taking your chance. Personally, for me, when I've watched him, no, he's not put up absolute trees, no, but he's been better than some of the midfielders that we've got, and he's had solid performances, and he's justified himself to have more game time. And I've just thought, yes, we end up winning the game yesterday, and the second half was a great performance, but first half wasn't great, and the games like the last 4 or 5 games since the start of the season they've been terrible, and the midfield has been a lot of it fault for that. And the fact he's not even had a chance, like I don't even think he's come off the bench in the Premier League. He's literally had 0 minutes, and to say that he's going to even get a chance, I think he's just out of order because he's clearly not. I think Ollie's just seriously stubborn. He seriously doesn't rate him, and unfortunately that means Donny's never going to get a chance, and the writing is on the wall. He's probably going to leave in January. That's if Ollie does last that long. Like, you never know, Ollie could go before Donny does, but it's just I just think I don't like that part of his management. I think it's rude. I think it's slightly disrespectful, and fair enough if he was a bad player and he just wasn't good enough, but I think we all know that's not the case. Like, he is good enough, and that's the part where I generally can't understand, and that's where I think it is slightly disrespectful to say I hope he takes his chance, because he's had chances before and he's played well. And if you're trying to say that Fred and McTominay, like Fred was good yesterday, I can't deny it, but if you're going to say Fred and McTominay every single game have taken their chance and deserve to stay in the team more than what Donny showed, and I mean, I know Donny's only played hardly any minutes, I just think it's not the case, and I don't understand what he's saying. But each to their own. I just think if Ollie stays, we're not going to see Donny, and I think he will end up leaving, which is a shame because I think he'd play well in our midfield, and I also think if Pogba leaves, which is looking likely, he'd be a great replacement for the pivot as well. So I just think it's going to be a shame because we're probably going to see two great midfielders leave in Donny and Pogba, and then we'd have to buy two replacements because then you've only got Donny, Fred, and Matic, which isn't enough.
Very true. I mean, we've had the comments before about Ollie said before, Jordan, a few weeks ago, I remember it well, about the old sulkers. We don't need sulkers in this squad. I hope Donny takes his chance. I mean, kind of is. When you break it all down, some people will look at it and just go, he's just being a manager and he's just saying it as it is. Some people look at it and go, it's a little bit disrespectful. I mean, kind of is for me. Reading him, he's reading his rights, really, and see you later out the door to me, mate. Where do you stand on it, Jordan, mate? Do you see it as Ollie just talking gibberish, or is he just passing time till January comes here?
Yeah, do you know what? For some reason, something is going on between those two. There's definitely a standoff between them.
Quite clear now.
And whereas I think previously it was behind closed doors, they both seem to be sending subliminals to each other. It's like that X on Instagram that puts up those posts, and you know they're directed at the X, but they won't.
Subtle but authoritative. You know what I mean?
You know when you read it and you're like, ooh, shots fired, shots fired. It's that kind of vibe. I think promises were made to Van de Beek over the summer, and Ollie hasn't followed through with those. I think these rumours now about him going back to Ajax and then coming out saying Ajax are not interested, that could be the agent just leaking it out there to try and drum up some interest and also put Ollie on notice that, hang about, we are serious about moving in January. One of the strengths that we always say about Ollie is his man management. Well, I'm sorry, but he's got a D- for the way he's managed this Van de Beek situation. You know, regardless of if he is signing or not, Beth, you know, there's still a way to treat a human coming into a new country, a new environment. And I think we say that he has had chances. I think the type of player he is, clearly he needs sort of a run of games to really show what he can do and get up to speed. When he's getting 15, 20 minutes here and there, it's not great. The players around him don't seem to trust him, and he at times he has seemed a little bit lost. I don't think any of the appearances he set the world alight, but I feel like he's played better than other options that have been getting regular game time. And that, for me, is the biggest thing. I don't think any of us can say, like, you know, he's the difference between us being a title challenger or not, but we just want to see the opportunity to see if he is the answer. We said at the beginning of the season that it's about utilising the squad to the best of Ollie's abilities. There will be Muckfred games. There will be Matic Pogba games, and there will be games for Van de Beek, but he hasn't had the opportunity. So yeah, there's a standoff, and something's got to give. One of them's going to have to go, and you know, if turn around, you know, imagine the ironic situation of Van de Beek outlasting Ollie and another manager coming in and he gets game time.
Mate, I mean, that's it. I mean, sorry, Beth, were you going to say something then?
I was going to say, do you know what I can't generally get over? And I'm not trying to single any players out or try and hate on anyone, but for me, like, don't get me wrong, Scott McTominay has had good games in a Manchester United shirt, but for me, he's been so poor since he's come back from injury. Yeah. And even today, I thought he was very poor. And I just think he's getting picked for every opportunity, all you can really pick him. And it's like, how can Donny be that much different or not give you any other benefits? I just find it crazy, to be honest. I think that just shows the favourites situation that's going on.
Yeah, that's basically it. When you look at the stats, you know, Ollie's completely contradicting. Some people will just say out and out lying, because how many starts in 12 games has Donny had this season? One, when he played probably well and was our best player. So there was one chance.
Realistically,
in the Premier League, we look at it and we go, we all talked about the start and the games that we were playing, and probably, like Jordan said, then a player integrating. He's had a season in now. He's gone away this summer, bulked himself up a bit, done a new diet program, got himself in his head and his agent's head, because we've heard his agent speak about this, in perfect physique for playing in the Premier League. Second season around, learnt a little bit more.
Yeah,
we start the season off against a mediocre to decent at best sort of first few games in the Premier League. He gets 4 minutes against Newcastle when the game's already won. We've got big games coming up now. I think leading right into December, it's all do or die games. We already know that with Ole, but I'm looking at that going, he's not going to play. There's not a cat and hell's chance that Donny Van de Beek is going to get any game time in them fixtures I'm seeing coming up, because Ole doesn't trust him and he's on the chopping block as it is, in my opinion. Ole, he can't afford to in his eyes.
Do you know what's crazy as well? It's like he didn't let him go to Everton. When obviously Donny went on that podcast and he did that interview, like, I think he was, I don't think he's going to come out and say it, obviously, but Fabrizio had said it on the show. He was very, very close to going to Everton. And Ollie was like, no, we need you. Like, you need to stay here. And I just think that's really tight, because he could have gone out on loan. I don't know if Ollie was worried about him going out and doing really well and then coming back and him having to play him. I don't know if it's literally along that line. I mean, I hope it's not, because that would just be really strange. But Donny could have literally gone on loan to Everton, showed what he could do, and come back, and we wouldn't have missed him, because Ollie's not planning to play him, clearly. So why keep a player there who's wasted 2 years of his career on the bench already and isn't getting into the international team? I think it's really cruel and unfair.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Peters there, Jordan. Sorry, mate. Let's bring up the super chat from Nick there, mate, quickly. Is it a surprise, really? We hired the most famous bench warmer in football history. He probably expects every player to suffer like he did and just sit there and take it. I mean, Ollie said, Jordan, that he doesn't really coach the team. So what is he taking notes here from his coaching staff about how Donny's training? Because Ollie, above anyone, would know what it's like to sit on a bench, and he got his opportunities. He played under the best manager to ever manage a football team in the world, so he knows what it's like about taking chances. I mean, I can't figure it out, Jordan, mate. I really can't. But like Nick said there, you would have thought he would have realised the situation Donny's in, surely.
Yeah, I think that the difference between Ollie's situation was that he had two strikers ahead of him, which arguably brought more to the team week in, week out.
Three?
Potentially three. I think you look at the situation for Donny. Donny's looking at Fred and Scott McTominay take their bibs off and get minutes, and he sat on the bench. Imagine what that must feel like to him looking at that.
Well, he probably sat on the bench yesterday watching. It's crazy. No disrespect, it just is levels.
It is levels to it. It is levels. And do you know what? I speak to a lot of fans that talk about us bringing up the Van de Beek situation and why do you guys talk about Van de Beek? He's not going to get games and whatnot. But none of us are saying, like I said earlier, that he's going to be the deal breaker in a season. But just give the man an opportunity. Just let him live. We've signed the player. We've moved into another country. We're bringing him into a new league. Let's see what he can do in his correct position. Let's not give him 15, 20 minutes when you're going to play McTominay and Fred every single game, and we know what's going to happen with those.
Do you know what I think it actually could be as well? I think it could be something that we were, while I was talking about someone last night, is that Ollie, every game, like, I don't know who was speaking this about, he sets up to be quite pragmatic, quite defensive, and try and hit the long ball. That isn't Donny's game. Donny's a pass and move player. He would have worked really well in the second half yesterday. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance. But Ollie's setting up to obviously play this long ball football and play counter-attack football. That's not Donny. It's also not Sancho. They're more technical players, and they're going to bring their game to the team. So I think it might be just Ollie's style of management, where he sees Donny isn't going to fit in. He's not going to play that long ball over the top to Rashford, because that's not the way he plays. He's not going to sprint all the way up the pitch because he's not got that much pace, but he is going to play very good football. And I think that's maybe why he's not getting in. But I just think that's Ollie's going into the games wrong as well, as we've seen over the last, God knows how long now.
Yeah. You said Donny Van de Beek, Sancho, Jason there in the super chat. It's not just Donny, it's the easy one to look at because he's been spoke about a lot. But Eric Bayer, you could bring that up against the Maguire situation against Leicester last week. Alanga, he's never going to get in this team ever. The entire youth squad says it all there. I mean, I don't think Ole is going to see any of these youth players come through. He's not going to see any of the potential of these youth players. He's not going to be here long enough, in my opinion, if he carries on the way he's going, persisting with playing all these friends, as Kev would say, favourites. But for me, I look at it and I just cannot figure out what his logic is behind it. But Tellers too, definitely.
Yeah, I've just seen that in the chat. I do think Shaw's injured me. I actually do think he's carrying a little injury because he's always going down and he does not look right whatsoever. I'm not saying
played all right in the second half. I thought he was a lot better.
He was, but it's like, I'm not saying play Tellers every game, but you could bring him off the bench. You could use him for certain games. Like, he's not a bad left back. He's not a bad left back.
On that, I'm going to just quickly switch because this was obviously brought up in a press conference with Ole. But he was also asked, Jordan, on this one. He says he was about to be asked by the media about players' loyalty to him. Are the players playing for him? And all his words from that was, don't even go there. Don't question whether these players are playing for me or not. They are the luckiest men on earth to play for Manchester United. Now, Beth touched on it as well, Jordan, a second ago. We're talking about Ole here, but I'm looking at Paul Pogba sat on that bench, and it's not a good time to make a comment like that, Ole, I don't think. When you've got January coming up and you've got some big players who haven't signed deals, mate. I look at Paul Pogba, for instance. I think this needs bringing up because he'll go away on international duty, and he's the focus. He's the main man on that French squad. We've seen it. He's the vocal for a lot of them players. He's who everyone sort of hovers around and just warms to. He's like that. We've heard that at United as well. He's then going back to United and he's seeing Griezmann, Mbappe playing this Champions League football. And he is, like Beth said, Jordan, sat on that bench behind Fred and McTominay. So I'll question Ole saying, don't even go there. Where's the loyalty? And say, well, maybe don't make a comment like that until maybe January, Ole, because you could find that completely backfiring on you. I mean, again, is it one of them think before you speak moments from Ole? He got carried away because we had a great comeback. But that, again, Jordan, just seems to me like it's a bit reckless in Ole. It's a bit arrogant in a way as well.
Yeah, arrogant, but not a good arrogance. I said it before. I've actually stopped watching Ole's presses. Like, I really, the way he talks and the things he says, it's just like textbook Manchester United answers. Like, what should a Manchester United manager say? And he's not speaking with any kind of passion or any kind of tactical know-how behind what he's actually saying. I've just really given up on him. Like, I have. I'm sorry, guys, but I just have. In regards to what you're saying about January, we've got a big problem incoming. That, you know, Lingard's a player that could be gone. Bay's not getting any game time. You're looking at Lindelof's being linked with a move away now. Obviously, Pogba contract situation. There's a number of players now that contracts are ticking down or being linked with other clubs. There's an unrest amongst the squad. And, you know, you don't have to be in that dressing room to be able to ask the question, are the players playing for him? You can clearly see that there's a divide and the ship is rocking. Like, you know, you look at Pep and they've got 2 starting 11s, and it's very similar under Sir Alex. He was very good at making everybody feel part of the mission of winning the league. You know, towards the end of the season, making sure certain players got enough appearances to be able to get their trophy at the end of to get their medal at the end of the season, so on and so forth. Everybody felt like they were involved in the project. Clearly, what we're seeing is players that don't feel involved, players that are being pushed into the corner and almost left to rot. And you're right, Paul Pogba is clearly the life and soul of the dressing room, both for United and for France. How does that look then when, you know, one of the best players in the world is getting dropped for a Fred or a McTominay? It's not right. Big managers get the best players on the field and get the best out of them. And we all knew, in order to get the best out of Pogba, we know his issues going backwards. So you play a world-class CDM next to him. We didn't go out and get a world-class CDM because Ole looked at it and felt like Fred and McTominay were the right option in there and that a right winger was more of a priority. But now we're not even playing our right winger. So he was completely wrong not to do that.
I do massively think he is mishandling the squad, and I agree with what Jordan says. It's so clear that there's favourites, and I do think obviously you do have to play your best team, but I do think you can make a couple changes. Not loads, I'm not saying change the whole team. Like every so often you can make a few tweaks to make players feel involved. Like it wouldn't hurt for one game, bring Tellers on for 20 minutes, or maybe play him on a game that's going to be a lot more attacking, something like that. It wouldn't hurt to maybe give Donny Van de Beek a game. It's not as if these are bad players. These are good players. I'm not saying change the whole team, which is what he did in the Carabao Cup game and played his whole second team, because then obviously they're going to look worse because they're not playing with the usual team. I'm just saying involve more of the players. And this is what I was saying yesterday. You're looking at Manchester United now. Why would it's not as if fair enough if we're on track to win something, then you think, oh, I do want to be part of the project still. We're not. We're massively under pressure. We've not had good results. The play style isn't great. And Ole, I don't think he's lost the dressing room. I said that yesterday. I do think the players played for him. I don't think you would have seen the second half if you don't. I just think we set up so poorly in the first half that it is frustrating. It's obviously frustrating to be a player in that system as well. And this is what I've said, like, Ole cannot go into games, keep playing Fred and McTominay in that midfield. He has to find a way to play Pogba in there and make it work with one of them. And to do that, he needs to change the rest of the team as well. I'm not saying you have to change the players, because I actually disagree that you need more defensive players in there. I think you can play with the attacking players, but you've got to get them positionally drilled and get them to track back, get them to track the man and know when they're going to press, when they're not going to press. And I think this is really important. In the second half, you saw Pogba hold his position really well. And you saw us actually play football and keep possession, so we didn't need to be as defensive. That is the way that we should be going into games. But I don't think Ole does this. Like, I was watching BT Sport afterwards, and I think Scholes was putting up on the screen. We had 4 attackers in a line, and then Fred and McTominay practically with the defenders. Like that massive gap in the midfield. I don't know how Ole can look at that week in, week out and then keep conceding goals and say afterwards, don't know how we're conceding goals. We need to fix that. Probably need to get more legs in there. But the same thing happens over and over again. He needs to work on his positional sense of the players, and he needs to get them more well drilled. It's as simple as that. Everyone's everywhere on the pitch. And that is a massive problem when it comes to conceding. You don't have to play defensive players. You need to get these attacking players working hard and sticking to the positions.
Yeah, on that actually, sorry, Jordan, go on, mate.
I was just about to say, you're totally right, Beth. And how much leeway are we supposed to give Ole because he's an ex-legend? You look at the way Moyes treated Zaha and was called out, the way Mourinho treated Shaw and was called out, the way he's treating certain players. We just keep letting it go, because he's an ex-legend. He's one of our own. He understands the DNA of the club and whatnot. Like, it's not good. And added to that, the results are not good. Then things have got to be called out.
That's it, mate. I mean, Beth touched on what and how he can look at that and not see it. But I've seen a couple of other quotes yesterday, and Bruno said it and Ole said it. They were both bewildered at the comment that it was a really poor first half. And I'm like, what? How can you even think that was a good first half? I mean, I understand. Yeah, we had a couple of chances and that, but to be so, I don't know what the right word is to describe it, to be so convinced that you actually had an all right first half. And this was Bruno as well. It's not just Ole. So is that influence of Ole, and I'll bring this in as well, Beth, the standard that he's setting, creeping into the players now as well, that they actually think that they're doing all right, because the first half was atrocious. I'm like, what? Guys, what are you talking about? Seriously, I was scratching my head. I couldn't believe it coming out of Bruno's mouth, let alone Ole's.
This, for me, it showed, one, the standard is lowered. And to be fair, from what I've seen, and when I was watching in the stadium, like I was speaking to my brother, and we're like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Like, it's actually embarrassing. Atalanta are fully outplaying us with football. But what Ole would have seen from that is, because his game plan was, you can't deny it, Bruno, first time you get the ball, try and hit that pass to Rashford. Lindelof, try and hit that pass to Rashford. And you know what? We had a few chances, and Rashford could have scored a hat-trick, to be fair to him. He could have. His finishing just wasn't on, and he was offside a couple of times. So Ole in his head will be thinking, well, if they went in, we would have been 3-0 up. That's his game plan working, getting that ball over the top to Rashford, because it did work. And the way that we conceded, it was defensively horrendous. So I don't know how you can even say it's a good first half when you concede 2 goals like that, because it was shocking defensively. But in all his head, it's like, oh, well, if them goals would have gone in, it would have worked. So he's actually setting up, and this is his game plan, guys. His game plan is to go in, and that's why he's got Bruno in there going wherever he wants and completely abandoning the midfield. I'm not saying it's Bruno's fault. That is instructions from the manager. And as soon as Bruno got the ball, I mean, I got a bit of stick for saying I don't think Bruno had the best game, even though he produced 2 amazing passes. Because when he was picking up that ball in the first half, it was just straight away. Like, sometimes it's just like pass and move the ball. You don't have to go for the Hollywood pass every single time. But I think that is actually what the game plan was, to try and get this ball over the top in using the pace of Greenwood and Rashford. And it could have worked if we could have scored a few goals that first half. But football sense and actually playing football and creating chances and attacking and keeping possession, it was horrendous. So I do think the standards dropped.
Yeah. I mean, on that, Jordan, mate, I mean, Bruno's actually gone into defending the way he plays and his risk-reward type of play. I mean, yeah, I'm all for that. But I see a different type of Bruno. I spoke to Ricky about this in Portugal games. It's slightly different. There's a big chance here that Bruno's actually coming out and saying these things just to sort of make Ole look a little bit better than what he actually is. I mean, Bruno yesterday for me, and I was with Beth, and if everyone watches my fan blog, I called it out. I thought Bruno even needs to be subbed off at half-time. Or maybe bring McTominay off, drop Bruno into 8, and be a bit more disciplined, and bring Pogba into number 10. We needed to change something up, but Ole persists with the moments, and Bruno provided, yes, but we are never, ever, ever going to be able to control the game unless we play full-blooded, like we did in the second half, which we cannot maintain, Jordan. I'm looking at it going, how he's seen this and how the players are going out there thinking this, Jordan. I'm thinking sooner or later, mate, this has to blow up. And possibly it will do in these next few weeks, because the only way I see us competing is playing that second half. But that was like, Hail Mary, let's just go all or nothing, mate. And that's not a plan. It really isn't a plan. We only played that way because we had to, mate. And I just don't see it at all, mate. I can't see what he's saying. I can't understand it. And now the players, like Beth said, the standards are dropping within the team, mate, because they're all coming out talking very similar to it as well.
Yeah, they are. And again, that language comes at the top. I've never heard the phrase fine margin so much as I have done under Ollie's reign. I think we got away with it because they were Leeds, weren't they? Basically, they were Leeds. They were gun home. There was lots of space at the back, and they weren't able to shut up shop. A normal Italian side would have been able to close that game out 2-0. We wouldn't have got a sniff. At half time, I jumped on with Mark during the watch along and said, "Look, next goal is the winner. It's the most important goal. If it goes to 2-1, we'll win 3-2. If they get a third goal, the heads will drop, and that's it. It's done. We can get away with that against certain teams." But other teams that are able to shut up shop and really close us down, we're not going to get away with it. Like, honestly, I watched that first half, and all I can think about is Liverpool. They are going to absolutely run us over.
Mate, I think you weren't the only one. I think Beth mentioned Scholes there. It was like Scholes versus Rio, wasn't it? I didn't see any of this, obviously, until today. But a lot of people were siding with Scholes. A lot were disagreeing with him. And I suppose Scholes and Rio were pretty much the fan base and how the fan base is right now. You can look at it half full or you can look at it half empty. Jordan mentioned there, Beth, and Scholes said exactly the same thing from the interview I seen, or the bit in the actual show that I seen on BT, where it's like, I couldn't get the thought of us playing like that against Liverpool out of my head. And it kind of ruined the second half for me. And it was great, Beth, but where was your head? What was you thinking at half time? Tell me what your thought process was at half time when the players watching, because they were booed off, Beth. They were booed off. And that does not happen. That is a rarity at Old Trafford. It really is. Where was your head at half time with what was going on?
You wouldn't have wanted to sit next to me, that's for sure. I was absolutely, honestly, it was to the point where I was fuming throughout the first half. Oh, what's going on there? Throughout the first half, I was getting so annoyed. I was saying, this is literally embarrassing. Atalanta are outplaying us. It's the same thing over again. How can you go after Leicester and start playing like this? I don't understand it. And my brother was like, Beth, save it for your fan vlog. Don't want to hear it right now. And I was like, right. Half time, I was there, and we were both talking. I was like, we can win this game, but I'm so annoyed at how we played in that first half. But obviously, I get carried away. The emotions get hold of you. At the end of that game, not going to lie, I was absolutely buzzing because I did think we played really well in the second half. And yeah, you can say it's Atalanta, but you can, like Rio said, I agree with both sides of Scholes and Rio. Like Rio said, you can only play who you've got in front of you. But like Scholes said, first half we would have got absolutely battered. So this has got me in a headspace, whereas I think Ollie seriously needs to work on how he goes into these games in the first half, because we've seen it repeatedly now. I don't know if he needs to scrap his whole preparation technique and do a completely different training session or warm up or do something else. But it's not, whatever he's doing to get them players ready for the game, it's not working, because we come out slow every single time. We come out sluggish and we don't play football. When we go down and they get a kick up the arse, that's when we start playing football. I don't know if it's due to tactics or I don't know if it's just generally due to preparation and how Ollie sees it. But it's something needs to be done about that. And I agree with the fact in the first half, if it was Liverpool, we would have got absolute pelters. But I'm hoping, because I'm trying to look at it positively, Ollie and the team would have looked at that. They would know that, and that we are going to change it for Liverpool. I can see us going quite defensive, if I'm honest, but that can't happen against Liverpool. What I would like to do is I'd like to go and play that attacking football we played in the second half with defensive discipline, because that's not impossible to do with the players you've got. Do I think Ollie has time to make that work and sort it out? No, I don't. So it's going to be an interesting watch against Liverpool. And I think that's really going to show where we are actually at. Have we got carried away with that second half? And is Ollie's job still on the line? And has anything really changed? We're going to see on that Liverpool game, but I'm just hoping he doesn't go too defensive and he actually tries to play some football. We are at home. Like, we've got to go and try and play football against him.
Are you nervous about Liverpool, Beth?
Yeah, I'm massively nervous. I think there's a chance we could get absolutely thrashed. There's a chance we could get absolutely thrashed, 100%. But I do think Ollie will shut up shop. But then again, he's tried to shut up shop the last few games and it's not worked for him.
You can't do it. I think Rory Saunders did a super chat there. I know what you mean. He says there, we were booed off at half-time and he still didn't make any subs at half-time. Stubbornness is literally ridiculous. No manager would have made no subs. Some people would say it may have been a knee-jerk reaction. See how it goes. I mean, I was thinking he was going to make subs. I seen Pogba running off, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen, Jordan. But again, mate, going into what he said and how he didn't see the first half as a bad first half, is he ignoring the fans? Because 100%. I thought, you know what, he's got the singing section right there next to him. He may have heard them singing his name and chanting his name, which they were very loud. But very savage in commentary. I heard say you could hear the boos. I heard a little clip of that when I was on my way home. So, I mean, is he just blocking things out here and he's just stubbornly looking down his tunnel vision of the plan that is working?
Yeah, I don't know who's asking for a wave, but here's a wave. Is that Kev's van? Is that Kev's van?
That's Kev.
It's Kev, yeah.
Kev. How you doing, Kev?
Yeah, just don't ask him to dab, Kev. Don't ask him to dab, mate.
No dabs. Definitely no dabs. I don't even know what the question was. He's completely thrown me off. Sorry. Mate.
Yeah, is he blinded? Is he just completely bubbled everything off? Because he didn't even mention. Do you know what? I actually should have looked into it. I don't know if any of the media asked him about the fans' reaction at halftime because it was clear. Everyone could hear it. I mean, is he stubbornly just blanking everything out and just carrying on down this one-way track, his tunnel vision that he's got?
Yeah, I think if he starts acknowledging that the fans are booing, then he's acknowledging the fact that he's under pressure. And, you know, he has to carry on. Like, it's part of a process and he knows exactly what he's doing and he's in control. The whole Ollie's at the wheel. He's leading where we're going. So, yeah, I think that's part of it. I think the changes at halftime, I've seen someone's comment saying that he's stubborn and that's why he didn't make changes at halftime. I actually don't think it's the fact that he's stubborn. I think he's absolutely petrified to make a move and get it wrong. Where big managers are like, I'll roll the dice, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I can justify why I made that decision. And I think that's where Ole's at, which is why he always reverts the type. His type is McTominay and Fred. They give him a security that he feels confident with and a platform that he can build from. So it's I don't think it's stubbornness. I think it's a lack of experience. So he reverts to what he knows best.
Is that pretty much like Biggie Third there says in the super chat for you, Jordan? It's not stubborn. He just doesn't know what he's doing.
Oh, right. There we go.
Fell right into it.
As well, like, he just was desperate not to concede another one at the start of that first half, at the start of the second half. And he was never going to take Bruno off. And to be fair, I didn't want him to take Bruno off. I just wanted to see Pogba and Bruno on the same pitch. And we can see why in the second half, because Bruno plays better and Pogba just massively influences the attacking play. But like I've just seen someone say in the comments, he tried to shut up shop in the first half of that game and it didn't work. All he needs to get into his head, the best way he can try and go into games. And I know at the end, the second half, obviously their players were tired. They've got players out. And yeah, we were just throwing everything at it. But that's his best bet, honestly, is to try and play some attacking football with players that we've got. Because shutting up shop, especially now Varane's out, it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I mean, on that, go on, Jordan.
Sorry. I was just going to say, you know, going back to last season in the Champions League with Leipzig, we played them in the first game and we absolutely run them over. And he was so desperate for us to qualify, you know, and get that point. He went defensive when we clearly see the way to play him was to attack. You know, so he does. He reverts the type. He goes back into a shell. He's like a Norwegian tortoise. If he gets nervous, he just goes into his shell, and his shell is McTominay and Fred, and to shut up shop.
Yeah, but one clean sheet in 20, Jordan. There is no shutting up shop here. There's no shutting up shop. That is where he's at right now. We've had one clean sheet all season. We've had one clean sheet in 20 leading into the back end of last season. Beth just mentioned it there. I mean, I don't see any combination in that midfield with any of them defenders with the way that they are playing, which is poor. Let's not. Congratulations, Harry Maguire, on the goal. It did overshadow a shocking performance. It did sort of cover up a shocking performance again because he was at fault from what I could see for their second goal from another set piece, by the way. But there's no way, Jordan, that this team in any way, shape or form can shut up shop. And definitely, if you try and hold out against Liverpool, they're just going to go, well, fill your boots, fellas. And we are not going to come back from a 2-goal deficit against the Liverpool like we are an understrength Atalanta team. So for me, I don't know about you, mate. I mean, can you see any way United can hold out at all or have any sort of game plan of trying to do that?
Well,
that pretty much says a no.
Do you know what? No. Do you know what? As you asked me that question, in my head, all I could see was Lindelof getting spun last night. God. That's all I could see in my head. And I'm thinking, Salah, in the form of his life, right, is going to be looking at him and thinking, you are mine. So, no. I said yesterday, you play last season's team, you're going to get last season's mistakes. You know, this is the reason why we prioritize getting a centre-back. We've got a world-class centre-back. And I know we can see goals, as I said, with Varane in the team, but we definitely look so much more assured. Harry seems to play better. And little mistakes that Harry might make get mopped up by having a more experienced centre-back next to him. I'm really, really worried about that Liverpool game. I'm really worried. Yeah, really.
I mean, Beth, in terms of people thinking we're overreacting and saying it's probably got a bit of a negative slant on it. I mean, yesterday's game proved to me why we're so annoyed, because in the second half, we've seen exactly what this Manchester United team can do to any team. I mean, the post, keeper making saves, we're creating chances at will. That's why we're so annoyed, because the first half was inexcusable. But then night and day it comes around again, Beth, and United are absolutely tearing Atalanta apart in the second half. And we was playing brilliant football. I mean, I've never seen us play with that much intent. I mean, I'll even bring the Leeds game into that. That was the best I've seen us play all season.
I also do think a big part of it is his substitutions and obviously the time in the game. And they brought off, I can't remember what the player's called. They brought off one of their great players and they stopped playing as fluidly. I don't know if that was due to us or not. I also noticed the back line moved up a lot more. So we were pushing forward and the defence was, I think from playing higher up the pitch, it was a lot more focused and we were so much easier able to press them compared to the first half. The pressing just wasn't paying off whatsoever. But when Pogba came onto the pitch, I even thought Sancho played well, considering he's not really been still embedded into the team. Cavani as well, I thought made a massive difference. These, especially in Pogba and Cavani, these are massive personalities, massive leaders. They know how to win games, they're experienced, and these players play football. I think Rashford and Greenwood are exceptional talents and they can be used to very, very good strengths, but they're not creative wide players. We've said it so many times. They're both strikers playing on the wings. Rashford's more of a winger, yeah, but he cuts in and shoots. That's what he likes to do. And he's just got back from injury as well, so he's not going to be his full self. And then you've got Ronaldo constantly dropping deep and there's no one in the box. Even though I'm still questioning whether Cavani and Ronaldo can play in the same team together. I said yesterday in my fan vlog, I think kind of we need to find a way because I thought it worked so well in that second half. We've got Cavani, who with so much experience, dropping into the box when Ronaldo comes deep. When Cavani's out on the wing, Ronaldo's dropping into the box. It was working very well. And you actually saw Wan-Bissaka get into the game more with Sancho on that right-hand side. So you had more bodies around the box. You were playing triangles with Sancho, Pogba and Bruno. And even Fred was getting involved. It was mad. It was mad to watch. So it's like these players that can hold the ball and pass around people and they actually create space. Cavani's so good at that as well. So if I'm Ollie, I'm looking at it in no disrespect to Rashford and Greenwood. I don't think there are problems whatsoever. I think they're great players and I love them. And I think they can definitely start in our team. But if you want to kind of play this possession-based football where you are creating and attacking, I do think you have to consider these players to start in the team a lot more. And it doesn't have to happen every week. You could bring Rashford or Greenwood. You probably only drop one of them, but you could bring them on for an impact sub, something like that. But I do think we need to get more creative players into the midfield because first half, it's basically all on Bruno. And when he's having a bad game, you see what happens.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, on that, Jordan, mate, I mean, is it a case that with what we've got right now, we just have to sacrifice that slow defence, which it pretty much is, mate, and just try and play a little bit higher? Do you think he's got the balls to try it? Because, I mean, Harry Maguire's not going to get back. We've seen Lindelof get skinned a few times last night. Like you said, these aren't really rapid players, and Liverpool have got rapid players. Do you fear the worst and us just dropping back in, or do you feel like we can do what a Brentford did and actually go at Liverpool and make a game of it? Because that's the only time Liverpool look threatened. If you sit off them like Watford did, you get a Watford result. You go at them like Brentford did, get in amongst it, then there's every chance that you can be in the game. But I just don't feel confident in this team actually being able to hold the Liverpool team out, mate.
No, neither do I. And, you know, they're playing really well at the moment, unfortunately. And I would like us to go and attack. I'd rather lose 4-3 than us go there, not try and lose 2-0. Do you know what I mean? I want us to go and have a go at them. We've got some of the best attacking players in the world, and that's the way we should be set up. One of the questions on last night's fan forum was about the United way, and some of the things that got thrown up was youth and attacking football. But I don't see either of those from our current manager. You know, somebody who supposedly knows the club so well. And a game like Liverpool, we should be excited for this game, going into it and being like, do you know what, we want to go and beat our biggest rivals. I am nervous, and all I can think about is the grief we're going to get afterwards when we get a drumming. Like, I'm not confident whatsoever about Sunday's game.
No.
I do think defensively that Liverpool can be got at, though.
Yeah,
they can.
I agree.
When I watched them in the Atletico game, I thought they played very, very well attackingly, but defensively with the players we've got, we can definitely get some goals. So I'm hoping Ollie tries to go for it a bit. I'm not saying completely expose the back line, but there's ways that you can go for it as well as kind of keeping it defensively tight. But it's going to be a very, very interesting watch to see which way he goes about it.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys think that in that dressing room at half time, some of our characters stood up Do you think it was some of the big names that were doing some talking now? I mean, I know Ole can have his say. I know he's not no pussycat that a lot of people think he is, but I'm guessing for them to come out like that, there was a little bit of self-pride actually creeping into this United team yesterday as well, because it was embarrassing and they must have heard the boos. I mean, Beth, they must have gone in that dressing room at half-time and looked themselves in the mirror and gone, we got to come out here and do something. We've got to start playing because this is just on another level of embarrassment. And maybe then they did realise that, you know what, we have to do this or Ole is going to be out the door. It just looked to me like it was the last stand. That's what it looks like. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, do you reckon there was an element of that in there that they just thought, we just got to do something here, boys?
I'm telling you right now, some big names in that changing room went in there and said, there is not a chance on this earth I'm playing in the Europa League this year. So everyone needs to I saw some meme that was like Pogba telling Ronaldo in the dressing room at half-time how bad the Europa League is. Like, one, it would look horrendously on Ole if Ronaldo was playing in the Europa League this year after he just signed for Manchester United. Two, for Ronaldo's whole, and it shouldn't be about branding and persona, but his whole like, just him as a player, he has to be playing in the best competition in the world. He cannot be playing in the Europa League. Paul Pogba doesn't want to go and play in the Europa League again just to lose the final because we can't seem to win finals. Bruno Fernandes doesn't want to be playing in the Europa League again. These players would have, I do think Ole would have massively bollocked him, to be fair. Like, one, his job was on the line, and two, he doesn't want to be losing Europa League finals again. Like, that's just a fact. And he knows if he drops into the Europa League, it's 10 times more pressure on his job. So I think it's a mixture of Ole. I do think he probably went in on him. And I do think the big players stood up and said, look, we lose this game, there's a big chance that we could end up in Europa League. And I do think they also came out and fought for the pride as well, because to lose that game again, to lose that game after the results that we've had, it would have been massively embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan, there must have been an element of it, mate, surely, because it was like night and day, like we said. But job isn't done yet, mate. They have to do this 3 more times, I think, because this group is tight.
Yeah, I don't think it was Ole. I think it was Ronaldo. You look at the frustration on his face, and you know the way he was throwing his arms up, and the look that he was giving other players on the pitch. For me, I think it was him. I think he's gone in there and he's had a word with the rest of the changing rooms, and you know, and that's okay. We read stories, you know, about in the past of Gary Neville speaking up, Rio, Roy Keane, and whatnot. Sometimes it doesn't have to be the manager. Sometimes the players will listen more if they look up and it's a player who's won it all and who's been there and done it. And what better person than Ronaldo to say it? You know, something was said in our dressing room, but do you know what? I don't care what was said. I just hope it carries on into the Liverpool game, because I really do feel like Ronaldo will be like a man possessed against Liverpool, because he understands the importance of playing against our biggest rivals. And he's going to want to prove a point to someone like Salah that he is the top dog. So I really hope the rest of the team get behind him and help pull him across that line.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I said it last night as well. I thought we got a reaction at least. So the players have got something inside them. They have. I mean, looking at it now, though, Beth, I'll come to you first on this one. It's like these next few games coming up now, we know what they are. We don't need to talk into depth on what they are. They're all massive games. And very, very difficult games. Is it a case now that it's do or die for Ole? He has to go in and just go at this because the fans are booing. We've got the reaction last night. He's seen what the fans' impact can have on these players. He must know now that, look, no clean sheet in 20 games, like I said. He has to go for this now, doesn't he? He has to go and attack these games and take risks in his team lineup and the way he plays. He has to. Otherwise, we aren't going to get the right results out of these games, and we could be left behind. And it's coming up to that next international break. It could be a case of Ole is out the door. It's a serious question to ask, but he has to really take risks now. Is that all he's got left? He has to just go for it.
To be fair, I'm glad we're playing these games, because what I wouldn't have liked is to us to play, no disrespect, but teams that have punished us before, to be fair, but teams lower down in the table, that it is possible to paper over the cracks and get individual FC and win these games, and it would paper over the cracks. With the teams that we are playing, as we've seen against Leicester, as we will see on Sunday against Liverpool, there's nowhere to hide. You can't get a lucky moment and win these games. To win these games, you have to play well. And that's what I'd rather know now, to be honest. I'd rather go through these results. If we lose and if Ole's not been able to change it around, then we know, like, for me, he's not the guy. Still right now, for me, he's not the guy. But I would be happy for him to change my mind. Yesterday, I was absolutely buzzing when we won, and it was a step in the right direction. But I'd rather have these tough games now and know where we're at. And I think Atalanta, you can't quite judge it because obviously they're in a different league and we don't quite know the standard compared to into the Premier League. But Liverpool, for me, one of the best teams in the world right now. They're on massively good form. We're on bad form. There is nowhere to hide. I think Ollie's lucky he's got at Old Trafford because the fans massively helped us win that game yesterday. The fans were amazing. And it's like, it is do or die. And do you know what? It's crazy to think that we've conceded this many goals because when you look at it, I don't think we've been playing attacking football apart from the second half yesterday. So it's fine to concede goals as long as you're outscoring the opposition. Would I like us to concede many goals? No. But like I said, I'd rather us do what Jordan said and go out and get beat 4-3 than lose 1-0 or 2-0. I'd just rather do that. So I do think Ollie has to throw everything at it. And I think I'm glad he stuck with the back four against Atalanta because it showed that he's not just completely trying to save his job. He is still going with he's still going with the formation that he believes is right for Manchester United. And I think he needs to go in with an attacking mindset and he needs to please the fans as well as get the results. And if you look at the games that we've played, you can't say that way has worked for him. So he something does need to change massively.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of creative subscribers on this channel. Donny Van de Beek, he's in the super chats. He says, I sent a super chat earlier, you ignored it. Sorry, Donny. I get enough of that at work, he says. Anyway, I have a weekend off if anybody wants to watch Bond Sunday at 4-ish. Oh, so you gotta laugh, haven't you? You gotta laugh, people.
Do you know what's the best part about it? He takes him to every single game, puts him on the bench, and never uses him. At least give him a weekend at home, to be honest.
Well, he could be doing a lot more productive things at home. Yes, I agree with that. Jordan, mate, though, on that, you said it there. We have to go for it right now. I mean, a lot of people said just today to me outside, it's like, my God, Ollie it's like a cat with 9 lives. Beth just said there, then she's happy that we're playing these games now, Jordan. Is it a case that luck has run out, that there isn't that little easy game in there, mixed in there? There's always like that Norwich game where they go and smash them 5-0 or something and just stem the flow a little bit. I mean, Atalanta at home was probably the easiest game out of this whole run of games. And we got through it last night. By hook or by crook, we got through it. But I think, like Bev said there, it's actually really good that these big games are here now because it's testing the mettle of what Ollie said in that press conference. How dare you question the loyalty of these players? Well, when the chips are down and you're not getting as many chances and getting away with things like we did with Atalanta last night, then we are going to see the mettle of these players because we're not going to get as a forgiving under-strength Atalanta side. Let's mention that last night as well. Players did well to turn it around and not taking that away from them, but they're going to have to play like that through every single one of these games because we're not going to get away with a poor half of football in these games coming up, mate, are we?
No, we're not. And I think Beck's right. I'd rather these type of games that the manager's not needed to get these players up for them. They should be looking at him going, it's Liverpool. They're our rivals when I go for them. You know, Manchester City, it's a derby game. They should naturally get up for those games. You're not relying on the manager to pick them up. You're right. If we were going to play in a bottom 6 team, it's relying on the manager to give everybody a kick up the backside and get them motivated to go. So yes, I am glad it's those kind of games. However, we're looking at a Liverpool team in incredible form, and I do feel the worst for the weekend. I do.
There's always that chance.
Sorry, guys.
It's all right, mate. It's everyone that the reality of what's coming. And I've spoken to Liverpool fans. I'm speaking some Liverpool fans later on tonight as well. And I guarantee that they're bricking it. They really are, because they know what quality we've got in this team. And they're right now, they won't be, I think they will be bullish, Liverpool fans, but they'll be cautiously bullish, I think, because they know that, you know what, that's the first time we put a decent ball into the box. And if there's any decent ball, early ball into that box, Ronaldo, he's going to be putting it away. It's undoubted he's going to be putting it away. And there's always that chance. There really is. And I'm telling you now, the Liverpool fans won't be too over the top with how confident they are. I guarantee it, because they know that this game and anything can happen. Form goes out the window, Beth, a lot of the time in these Liverpool games.
It does.
It
does.
games.
We've got a big game player who would desperately want to win this, which is exactly what Jordan said in Cristiano Ronaldo. We've seen us it's embarrassing. I saw someone on Twitter saying we have a 5-time Champions League winner on his knees on the third group stage match of a Champions League. It's like, he's dragged us to I'm not saying it was all him, but he scored the winning goals in 2 of our Champions League games. He is a game changer. And he'll be massively up for a game like this. It's all or nothing. We've seen it so many times before. Like when we've been in bad form or we've not been as good as Manchester City, always managed to go and get a result. Like it can definitely happen. And I'm not writing us off, but looking at the forms, looking at the managers, I do think the ball is in Liverpool's court. But God, I'm still got some positivity, and I still hope that we can get a result. And I definitely think it's possible with the players that we've got. It just depends on how Ole utilises them. But Joe, it was the most embarrassing thing for me last night. Obviously, I was absolutely buzzing that we won that game, but I had so many City and Liverpool fans, because there's loads of them around here for some reason, Snapchatting me saying, "Yes, I'm so glad you won. Ollie's still in a job." I was like,
same. He messaged me saying he just bagged himself another 3 months.
See, this is it. You would normally think that, but like we just said, it's different now because he's got a month of fixtures here that ain't going to give him that leeway. One Champions League win, that's great, brilliant. We're top of the group, but if Atalanta get players back, that result goes wrong. You side of big games against Spurs and then Liverpool, and then we got to play City before we hit that international break. And if we head into that international break after that City game with a bad result, then that is going to leave the sourest taste in every United fan. 2 weeks sat on that. And then when we get back, guys, we've got Chelsea coming up. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't get any easier.
I know. I think we've got Arsenal as well. I know they're not the same as Arsenal, but
Watford, Arsenal and Chelsea when we come back. I mean, before we go, I've seen a couple of quotes and a couple of interviews from the media, and there are a lot of media that are linked with United, the correspondence there. But Jordan, there's a battle here of standards, I think, and a lot of media. I don't know what Gary Neville's. Obviously, we know what Gary Neville's like, and I'm baffled by what Gary Neville says now about Ole. We all seen what Mark was talking on his show about with Gary Neville and little tit for tat on Twitter, but it seems like they're making excuses for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the media, mate. I've seen it with quite a few of them now, and it's like, I can't understand where they're coming from. Are we missing something here? Or are we just fighting our corner? Because I'm feeling like standards are dropping, mate. There's no way that this is good enough with what we've got. And I can't believe what I'm seeing from some of the mainstream media as well, mate. It's like, am I missing something, Jordan? Because I'm not seeing it, mate, at all.
Look,
these are not even the mates. These are not the mate ones either. This is other journalists. I'm going, I can't understand this.
Yeah, but it's yeah. In terms of the friends, they'll know behind closed doors that things are not right. They know the standards that this club expect, and they know that we're not delivering at the moment. I think it's also about with some of the mainstream media is that they don't want to upset certain people to then be shut out. And Ollie is very well connected. He's very liked. Certain media start firing shots too heavily. They're suddenly not invited to certain presses. They're suddenly not invited to get certain stories and whatnot. So I think it is a lot of that. Unfortunately, that's how the world works. It is all about who you know and who lets you in. So I think that's a massive part to do with. But listen, like I was saying earlier about the way he's handled Van de Beek compared to how Moyes handled Zaha and Shaw with Mourinho, those same people were calling those managers out and saying it was completely unacceptable. And to a certain degree, Ole's done exactly the same thing in a different kind of way to Van de Beek. They haven't been handled well. So yeah, a spade is a spade and it should be called, but unfortunately, people are emotionally attached to Ole and they're not going to call it out.
That's it, Beth. It's a good job. It's a good job we've got the fan channels, Beth, innit?
I know. I could get over the combined 11.
Oh yeah.
You know the Liverpool United combined 11. Gary Neville.
Can I just ask a question about that?
I didn't agree with Carragher's, but geez, Gary Neville's. I was literally there like, how are you playing Firmino at 10? Like, what are you doing?
Was that based on current form, or like what was that about? I don't get where that came from.
There was no excuse to not have Bruno in that team.
Firmino's just come in for Jota last week and scored a hat-trick against Watford.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but
different class. It's just mad. It's just a madness to me that he actually dropped Bruno out of that team, and as well, no one had Varane at centre back. I was like, what?
Oh no, Matip over Varane. Go figure that. But guys, we've done over an hour somehow. It's flown by. And big questions will be answered this weekend. We will all be part of the United Stand going into this Liverpool game. It feels like there is a massive, massive build-up here. Lots of people are talking. Everyone seems to be waiting for an explosion. Will we get it this weekend? One way or the other, I think we will. I can't see a draw. None of the teams are going to be happy with a draw, especially not Liverpool. United possibly may get away with some credit for a draw with the way Liverpool are playing. But one way or another, like I said, this weekend is massive for United and it's got to come to a head. It will. We will see exactly what this team and this management and this coaching setup, which is the best that you could ask for, will do this weekend. On that, guys, thank you everyone for tuning in. All the super chats and chats. You guys have been brilliant again, as always. Jordan, thanks for coming on, mate.
Mate, absolutely love the Thursday show, mate. Love it.
Loving every show. Beth, working hard. Last night, in tonight again. We're still confident, aren't we? But cheers for coming on, Beth.
I reckon we're going to get a win, guys. Got to be positive. We're going to get a win. And you know what? If we don't get a win, we'll have the Monday. I think it's Monday night now. We'll have the Monday night therapy show. So it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to it already. It may be needed. But, guys, obviously, give the video a like and subscribe to the United Stand. But for now, guys, we are done. We are out of here. Enjoy what's left of your week, and we will see you over the weekend in the build-up to the Liverpool game. Crunch time.